I have heard a lot of talk about new construction as of late. I know that last year there was a lot of new construction movement, especially if you're someone moving or trying to buy a home in the DFW Metroplex. Honestly, even if you're trying to sell, you're going to have some competition to a degree against some new construction. Today, we're going to do something a little bit different since I've been seeing a bunch of videos based on new construction. We're going to go over 20 thoughtful questions that you should probably ask yourself if you're thinking about buying a new construction home in Texas. My name's Trevon. I work with Century 21 Mike Bowman, and this is Moving to Dallas. I'm a real estate agent in the area. I've got some clients here and there that try to look for new builds, and the main thing I want them to do is ask questions. The builder, most of the time, has all the authority, right? There are a few things, and there are things you can ask and try to do to mitigate things from happening. They have their own side of things, right? They've got a sales team, they've got reps, they've got their own inspectors, contractors and things like this. Sometimes, you don't necessarily just want to take their word for it, and you want to ask your own questions, do your own due diligence. And that's what this video should help. Let's drop right into it. One of the first questions I would do, it's going to be based on location. Okay, so what are the fastest growing areas in Texas for new construction, right? Like in the DFW Metroplex alone, you're, like I said, you're seeing it all around. You're seeing it in Keller, you're seeing it in Denton, you're seeing it in Frisco, you're seeing it, Collin County, you're seeing it in Dallas, you're seeing it in South Fort Worth, Arlington. New construction is filling in. Now, this isn't a discussion if it's affordable or not. It's more or less just to look at where you're buying, right? Do you want new construction in the middle of nowhere, right? It might be more affordable, but there you go with the infrastructure issues. And, you might just not have as many activities as you'd like for your family, or maybe job opportunities, depending on where you're at. And I'm just going to give an example of Rome, Texas right now. Rome, Texas, it is going through a transitional period right now. Infrastructure is about to start flooding in. You're already seeing a bunch of new build communities. And in some cases, that's all you see is just new homes. And that's it. Dirt. Is this a place that you'd want to live? Right? Infrastructure will come. And what happens when infrastructure comes? Most likely value comes. Values rise. Most likely. That's something you kind of want to think about, right? Or do you want to live in a more dense area, new construction, which that's going to cost you more in most cases. That's just some things you want to narrow down before you're searching, right? Like you don't want to just all of a sudden be like, hey, I want a new construction in this area. Well, it's like you might want to do research just so you can get an idea on pricing. Number 2 is going to be, are the new developments located near quality schools, hospitals, or shopping centers, right? Not only is this going to boost your value, which sometimes I get too drawn on the number side of things. The exit strategy is sometimes just what I'm always thinking about, but just where do you want to be? Do you want to be where there's nice schooling? Do you want to be where there's shops? And do you want to be close to, large infrastructure? And that's kind of the same thing with location, right? Figure out these things. One of the toughest parts is really the price point is what's really going to separate what area you live in, because that's what's going to dictate, where you live. Just keep an eye on that. If you're somebody that likes shops, likes shopping, likes to be out and about, maybe you put yourself closer to these events. And then if you're someone that does not necessarily care to go out and do these things, maybe you can consider a new build construction community a little further from the city. You might find better deals, more, better price per square foot. And some of these communities that they're building in these areas, they really are beautiful. North Lake, they're building in a massive, beautiful community. Hazlet, you're seeing that, infrastructure for the highways isn't there yet. It will come most likely. But you're also seeing this in Prosper, a little more expensive price point. But if you go in that area, Salina, a little south of that towards Little Elm, full on new construction communities being built out there. So lots of opportunity. Okay, number 3 is going to be, what are the future plans for the surrounding area? Will there be more development, parks, or infrastructure improvements? Are you going into a community where it's already built in or not, right? These are questions you really want to ask yourself, not only for the exit strategy and things that you would do, but just in general, right? I know a lot of people who bought homes in Forney, Texas, new construction homes in 2020, 2021. I'm not saying they overpaid for them, but at the current market, they are not selling for in some cases what they bought these homes for, right? I understand that the market was really tense then, but this is one of those things where you really want to know what the area you're going to is. Does it already have the infrastructure? Does it already have the schools? Does it have all the things that people are going to need before I buy in at top dollar? Because in most cases, new construction is going to be top dollar in whatever said area. So these are just questions you want to ask. Know what is coming, and you just have to ask. You can ask your realtor, right? You can ask the city, call the city zoning. You can look at it up and just, I mean, they might not be able to say this is what we're doing, but you can see projected projects. Like for instance, if you're moving to Alito is building, Tiger Woods is building a massive golf little community thing out there, golf course, 250 acres. I don't know. It's something like that, right? So that's something you wouldn't want to know before you get in there, right? Or if you move to Alliance in Keller, they're building, I mean, goodness gracious, if you've seen the transformation in that area in 10 years, it's incredible what they're building, right? And if you were someone who knew this ahead of time, I promise you, you would be in a very good opportunity zone to execute a massive equity transition or sell at the top dollar, right? Depending on when you bought in. So these are things you want to ask yourself, right? What improvements are coming? Infrastructure, is it coming? Highways, you know what I'm saying? Especially in these more rural areas. If you know a highway is going to come in the next 10, 15 years and you plan on holding your home that long, that will most likely help you, because what happens along highways, businesses, commercial, or infrastructure comes in. Okay. Number 4 is going to be how do property taxes in the area compare to other parts of Texas. So really maybe not all parts of Texas, but like your area, for instance, like if you live in Southlake, you're going to be paying a higher tax than you live in Grapevine. And I mean a large difference, right? But there are some things that come with that, right? Some would say that Southlake is a little bit better area to live in, more safer, more wealthy. You can take these as pros or cons. I'm just saying these are areas you're going to want to think about, right? Because your zip code will dictate the tax you pay, and you want to know what that could possibly be. Does it look like it's rising? Or like, for instance, Flower Mound. I believe Flower Mound is really going to pop off here in the future. I think they have a lot of land that's unused. And I think they're going to come to a time where not only that, but they have a lot of properties that are large. And then the client base there is, I don't want to say old, but they're going to eventually start to downsize. So what's going to happen to that area? And I think that's what's very interesting, which that correlates with property taxes. I feel like property taxes will rise in an area like this where they're not too brutal as of now. Number 5 is really a no-brainer, but is your home located in a flood zone or an area prone to natural disasters? Right, do a little bit of research. You don't want to live in an area where there's a bunch of tornadoes. You don't want to live in an area where there's a bunch of flooding. And one of the things I've found is go to an open house and ask, right? You're going to see some people at an open house that live in the area. And you can just ask, like, hey, do you live in the area? What is it like? Does it rain here often? If it does it flood here often? And I promise you, you will most likely get pretty positive answers, right? Or you ask your realtor, do your due diligence, right? Because it would suck. Well, first off, it's going to be hard, nearly impossible for you to buy in a flood. Not impossible, but it's going to cost you a lot more to buy in a flood zone. You're going to have flood insurance. That's going to make your buying power a little bit less depending on how much it costs. And these are things you're going to think about. And not only that, but your exit strategy. How many people are going to want to buy a home in a flood zone, right? That is something that you really want to think about. And then your home in general. Why would you want to buy a home? You have kids and you want to not put them in danger, but come on, you don't want to have a freak accident of flooding, 100-year flooding, 50-year flooding. And which you could have dictated, right? Which you could have just done a little bit more research and moved to the left or the right or further away. So those 5 things are really location and community. Next, we're going to touch over builder and warranty. And I'm not going to be specific, and I'm not going to be as blunt, just because obviously since I'm a realtor, I can't just say what builders I don't like or not. But who is the builder and what is their reputation in Texas? What I would do is I would Google the builder, not Google, I would YouTube the builder and maybe YouTube the locate. Like, for instance, if I wanted I'm going to pick a builder I like. So if I wanted a David Weekley home, right? I like the way they build their homes, or Toll Brothers. I like the way they build their homes. I would YouTube Toll Brothers in Fort Worth. I would do that and see if you can get any glimpse of what they do in that area. If you do this for other builders, you're going to have a massive scale of cons of why you probably shouldn't work with the builder, and then you're going to have some pros of why you should work with a builder. Now, of course, different ones have different price points, so that's going to be part of the structure also, but these are major questions you want to ask. Number 7 is going to be what warranties are included in the home. Examples like structural appliances, other systems. And most builders do have the, I think it's a 1-3-10. They're going to differ. You're going to have your 1 year for the appliances, 3 year for, electrical or something like that, and then like 10 year for structural things, depending on the builder. Know your warranties and know how to not exploit them, but use them, right? Because you're working with the builder, so you might as well get the best and most out of your money since you have the warranty. Okay, are there any lawsuits or complaints against this builder? Major one, man. I've seen thousands and thousands of videos of said inspectors, homeowners who are regretting their decision of buying a new construction home. They bought it at high prices, and unfortunately, like I said, if you do not do your due diligence and you just hop in there, it can cost you. And there's been times where, I'm not pushing people away, but I have clients, they want to go to a specific builder. I literally tell them, if I were you, I would YouTube this builder and this area, and then come back to me. Let me know if you still want to continue this path or not, right? Because there are pros and cons, right? Pro, new construction home, no one's lived in it, it's brand spanking new, and it's affordable to a degree, right? Cons, could be lots of cons, right? Did they rush the building process? Did they do the right inspections? Did they build it with quality? These are things you want to know, because down the line, everybody in every home has things you have to pay for, but you just want to at least know that you're at least ahead of the game, I guess, because like I said, you can YouTube the specific builder you want, and you're going to get some truthful answers, okay? Sure, you're going to get some people making videos that are upset, but you're going to get pretty good examples of why you shouldn't work with this said builder in this said area, right? All right, so that's going to be all on builders and warranties. Next is going to be customization and upgrades. What customizations or upgrades are available, and how do they work, and how do they affect the price? Because you're going to have some builders who offer these packages. You're going to have some builders that don't offer any package. Like, this is what we have. This is what you get. No changes. It is what it is. And then you have some where you have a little bit of flexibility. A lot of this has to do with the time frame, right? Have you found the area and the builder you want to work with before the home is even built? That will most likely give you a little more opportunity as far as flexibility and customization, and possibly save you money, really, because all of that will be ordered or purchased before building process started. I'm not too sure on how they do that specific part of it, but I know that when it's the beginning stages, you have a lot more opportunities for customizations and upgrades rather than the end, because everything's already ordered or built in already. So it's hard for me to make changes. So those are going to be some questions you want to ask. Depending on the builder, just ask. I would start off, do you guys allow upgrades? Do you allow customization? And then go from there. And honestly, this is going to be one where the sales rep's going to know most of the information. And hopefully you get a sales rep that's on the ball. Next is going to be, are the appliances, countertops, flooring included, standard, or are they upgrades? So when you walk in the model home, it's fully decked out. It's fully decked out with, decor, upgrades, appliances. It's to the T. You know what I mean? Like, for instance, if you go in a new build community, this is just a guess, but you go in a new build community, prices for the homes are, I don't know, $400 to $560, $550. The model home is gonna be the most expensive one because it's gonna just have all the bells and whistles. Know what you're getting, know what's standard, and know what's cost you extra. That way, you're not hopeful, and you're not expecting something, and then you get to the purchase part of the transaction and you're realizing, like, oh my god, these counters are going to cost me an extra $5,000 or this lighting system is going to cost me an extra 3,000, because in some cases you might be able to get it done cheaper from a contract, not from a contractor, but from an independent source, depending on what you're asking for. But again, this is where you want to ask questions. Okay, next one's going to be, can changes be made during construction, and how flexible is the timeline for this? Yeah, this is going to, I mean, stems in with the first question: what is possible? And if they're already done with the home, most likely nothing's possible. If the home is just that foundation, you might have an opportunity to change some things. And you have to take this with a grain of salt, right? Because I've seen situations where people pick out the customizations in their home, pick out the style they want. 6 months down the line, builders like, we don't have that, so we're gonna put it in this. And they're like, it's a tough one, right? Because hopefully they like whatever the builder is. And there has been situations where my clients did not like what the builder was doing, and we backed out. So, and they lost their earnest money. So it's a tough one. Some builders will work with you. Some builders, they're pretty strict. These are going to be questions you want to ask on the get-go. Right? All right, next is going to be construction quality. Again, this is one where you can really just YouTube it, and you're going to get answers, right? And I'm not just saying take the first video you see. What I would do is go through 5-6 videos and go through the comments as well. And that should give you a good parameter on if I should work with this builder or not. Or maybe you do work with that builder, but now you know and what to expect. So then you get the right inspections. You stay on the ball. If you're in the area of where your home is being built, you go once a week and take photos. You know what I mean? Like, you got to be the stickler and be like, hey, this isn't right. I want it fixed. Take photos, get all the evidence you can. Of course, be respectful about it, but you got to be on the ball, which is unfortunate, but it just is what it is, right? Because someone else is building your home, not you, right? So what materials are being used in the construction of the home? Are they energy efficient, right? It's going to cost you more for certain things, of course, but know this, right? Some houses are going to have that radiant barrier in them, some won't. Some are going to have multiple layers of insulation, some won't. It's just going to depend, right? What materials are they using? Try to get an idea. That way you know. And some builders, they already have this idea of, we are energy efficient, this is what we use. And then some necessarily don't. But yeah, I just want to ask these questions, okay? Especially if you're someone that is trying to, have a more energy efficient home, or figure out what things can make it more energy efficient, and then you possibly ask those questions while you're with the sales rep or with your realtor. How does the builder ensure quality control during the construction process? Again, this is going to be where you are kind of hopefully going there, right? Checking it, checking in, checking on the progress, making sure they're on the ball, because yeah, I mean, so many things can go wrong, so many things can go right as well, but I would just say you want to be on top of the ball. A lot of these things can be mitigated with independent inspections by a good inspector that does new construction inspections. I think there's 4 of them you can get. You can get the foundation one, and then I believe there's one after framing, and then I believe there's one after they do plumbing and electrical, and then I believe there's the final one, and then the final walkthrough. I think there's 5 maybe. There's a bunch. So just try to do your due diligence, ask the right questions, and ask as many as you possibly can. Number 15 is going to be, are third-party inspections allowed during the construction phase? Yes. You can definitely get your own inspection. In some cases, from what I've seen, the builder's like, yes, please get one. Because, I mean, at the end of the day, they want to give you quality product. Unfortunately, there's so many people that are building homes that they can't really do that much quality control to a degree on every single specific item in the home. And you've seen videos where these $1 million homes are not even connected at the foundation level, or beams in the roof aren't connected and stuff like this. So yes, you do an independent inspection. And if they tell you you cannot, I don't know. I would either find a different builder, but I believe they all would allow it. I believe. So definitely something you should do. And I would recommend anyone who's buying a new construction home do this. Now we're down to cost and financing. So are there any incentives for using the builder's preferred lender? To a degree, right? Some cases there are. In some cases I've seen it where it's just like, hey, we'll drop the price 15,000 if you work with our lender, but then they're charging you extra working with their lender. So take this one with a grain of salt. Figure out which one benefits you the most, and just ask the right questions. Get your information from most likely you're going to have to be approved from the builder's lender, but then get your own independent lender. Might be able to offer you better deals, and they might offer you programs as well. Now, what they can't do, an independent lender, is the builders sometimes already have their rates bought in. So you're seeing builders with rates at fives, right? Already bought in. So that can be advantageous. There's plenty of times where they're offering 20,000 towards closing, or if you're trying to build a home, they're offering 30,000 towards it in upgrades. Just ask. Most of them have incentives, but it is going to depend on the timing of the market. Like, so market's slow, they're probably going to offer more incentives. If the market's quickly, good luck with getting the incentives, right? It's just going to depend, because everything's just going to go quickly. All right, so what are the HOA fees, if there is an HOA, and what do they cover? Yeah, I mean, this one's pretty standard, but do you want to live in an HOA? Do you not want to live in an HOA? These are going to want to be questions you want to ask, like, does it have community? What do? Do they cut my grass? They not cut my grass? Some HOAs are going to tell you got to keep your grass under 1 inch, 5 centimeters. I don't know if it's that specific, but do you want to live in an HOA or not? This is definitely going to be something you want to know. And unfortunately, most new build communities right now are in an HOA. So that's a tough one if you don't want to live in an HOA. All right, next one's going to be, are there hidden fees or costs that might not be immediately apparent? So premiums, right? Like sometimes that's like with lots. For instance, the corner lot, the larger lot is going to have a morgue, or like the lot with the view, you might have a higher premium for that lot. So these are going to be questions you want to ask, because do you want the home with the view? Do you want the home with the not view? Do you want the corner lot? Do you want the house in the middle? Yeah, these are going to be questions you want to ask, and sometimes they are different in price. Next is going to be timeline and availability. So what are the expected timelines for the completion of said home, and what factors could delay it? This one is random, because I have seen builders who are like, yeah, we're 8 months out. We get a call in 2 months. They're like, yeah, we can close in 2 more months. It's like, okay. And then I've seen builders where they're like, yeah, we're going to be done in 8 months. And then all of a sudden 8 months go by and they're like, yeah, we got 6 months to go. So it is a tough one, right? You just got to ask the right questions. You got to check on the progress, and hope that they're on the ball. Hope that things can stay in line. And I think 2021 and 2020, there were just supply issues that really slowed things down. Hopefully we aren't in a period like that. And yeah, you definitely want to know how long it's going to take, because that can depend on if you're in a lease or do you need to lease again. Our last question is going to be, are there move-in ready homes available already? Or is everything built to order, right? And in most cases, they're going to have a little bit of something. They're going to have inventory and other. In most cases, they're going to have inventory homes, and they're going to have somewhat of a flexibility option. It's just going to depend on the price point, right? Obviously, the higher you go, typically the more flexibility that is there, the more you can change things. But then it also depends on the time frame, right? Is the home already built? The home's already built. You really can't do much. So yeah, these are going to be questions you want to ask. And I know it's a lot, so take it slow. Main thing about this is just getting a right realtor, knowing who you're working for, get somebody that's experienced, knows the area, and they ask you questions, because at the end of the day, that is what's going to win in the end. And really, you can take this with every home. You know what I mean? Location. Where's my home? Who is the builder of this home? Customization and upgrades. What did they do? Construction quality. Do we know what kind of materials they used? Cost and financing. Seller, are you offering any? You know what I mean? These are questions you always want to ask no matter the deal, but I've seen a lot of new construction talk. So I just wanted to go over briefly and just give you somewhat perspective of someone that's a real estate agent in the area. If you made it this far, I really appreciate you watching. If you're feeling the vibe, subscribe. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. I'm trying to get the channel to grow to 100 subscribers within 6 months. And if you guys drop a like, that will help the channel grow. But if you made it this far and you learned something, I appreciate you watching, and I will catch you guys on the next episode of Moving to Dallas. My name's Trevon, and I work with Century 21 Mike Bowman. I'll catch you next time. Later.